For decades, developers have hated documentation. Not because writing is hard, because documentation always felt like an afterthought. You spend weeks solving difficult engineering problems, and then someone asks you to explain what you already built. It feels like paperwork. Something you did because someone else might need it one day. Most of the time, they never do. But AI may have just given documentation an entirely new job. From narrating the work to guiding it. Instead of describing software after it's built, it's starting to shape the software before it's written. And that's why ideas like spec-driven development are suddenly everywhere. Nobody wakes up excited to update a wiki. Nobody finishes a feature thinking, now for the fun part, the documentation. Why? Because documentation always competed against shipping. When deadlines get tight, documentation seems a lot less important every time. And honestly, that wasn't irrational. Historically, documentation was insurance. Maybe another developer would read it. Maybe. Maybe 6 months later. Maybe never. It was valuable, just rarely valuable today. Documentation had value, it just didn't have immediate value. Now imagine something different. Imagine documentation isn't written after development. Imagine it's written before development. Now ask yourself, who's reading it? Not another developer, the AI. Suddenly, documentation isn't explaining software, it's helping generate software. That changes everything. Business goals, constraints, architecture, acceptance criteria. Instead of working as a receipt for what has been done, they're the blueprint for what comes next. This is where spec-driven development enters the conversation. People often think SDD is about writing more documentation. That's not really what's happening. It's about changing when documentation creates value. Instead of saying, here's what we built, it says, here's what we're trying to build. The specification becomes the context the AI uses to make decisions. Whether you use SpecKit, Markdown, BMAD, or your own workflow doesn't really matter. They're all trying to solve the same problem. How do we transfer enough context before implementation begins? It's so different from the usual way people make and use documentation that it's natural that it faces some pushback. This is just documentation with extra steps. Of course, it feels that way. We're looking at it through 20 years of engineering habits. For decades, documentation described decisions. Now it's expected to help create them. That's a completely different responsibility. Another criticism, we could have built the feature already. Sometimes, especially for small changes, but that's the wrong comparison. The trade-off has gone beyond planning versus coding. It has evolved into a planning versus rework dynamic. As AI accelerates implementation, misunderstanding the problem becomes more expensive than writing the solution. As AI speeds up development, teams have less room for ambiguity. And that's what makes this shift so interesting. Documentation just happens to be one place where those changing priorities become easy to see. For years, the hardest part of software development was writing code. Today, AI is making code dramatically cheaper to produce. That means value moves somewhere else, toward understanding the problem, communicating intent, capturing constraints, surfacing assumptions, sharing context. Documentation just happens to sit at the center of all of those. So, maybe spec-driven development becomes the future. Maybe it doesn't. That's almost beside the point, because something much bigger has already happened. Documentation has changed jobs. It used to answer, what did we build? Now it's increasingly answering, what should we build? And as AI becomes a bigger part of software engineering, that may become one of the most valuable skills an engineer can develop.